The first Avengers Doomsday trailer sparked mixed reactions to say the least, but there is one thing that I've been dying to see from Doctor Doom, and Marvel has finally shown it in this brand new special look. And somehow, giving Doom exactly what he needed has only made the biggest questions around this movie even harder to ignore. Previously, Doctor Doom was just something for the Avengers to fight against, a seemingly unstoppable, intimidating force. But the new trailer makes Doom specifically someone that they're fighting against, and Marvel has done that with one specific thing: establishing existing relationships. Whereas the first trailer had Thor narrating about Doctor Doom, even though Thor and Doom don't really have a history in the comics or the MCU, this new special look specifically calls to attention the relationship between Doctor Doom, Mr. Fantastic, and the Invisible Woman. And both of those relationships serve completely different roles. Reed Richards clearly serves as Doom's greatest rival. We know this from the comic books, but the way it's framed in this special look is very interesting. That familiarity comes through on screen. When Reed grabs Victor and says, "Did you do this?" we feel that there's some history there to allow Reed to A, get so close to Doom, and B, call him Victor. And I have no doubt that that history is going to tie into the origin of Doctor Doom, which is one of the biggest unanswered questions about this movie, specifically how it links to Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. But it's clear that Doom's relationship with the Invisible Woman isn't trying to do the same thing. It's a more textured relationship there, perhaps something more compassionate. The Invisible Woman speaks like she knows Victor and remembers him almost like a fond friend, saying that he used to be different, and that something in him is broken. It's perfectly suited to the Invisible Woman's character, but it also gives us a clue that there might be some conflict between the heroes this time. And I don't just mean between the Avengers and the X-Men, but trust me, we'll get onto that. In Avengers Infinity War, it was pretty clear how everyone wanted to deal with Thanos. But when it comes to Doctor Doom, I wonder if the compassion that Susan is showing Victor might be shared by other heroes, and that could split our heroes within themselves, not just between the groups. But this is not Fantastic Four 2, this is Avengers Doomsday, and one of the biggest returning characters is from a previous saga entirely, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, and we still have absolutely no idea why Doom is even related to this guy at all. Let's look back at Thanos again. It's easy to say that Thanos might just have had a relationship with Gamora, primarily the Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's really not true. When we think about it, he had a huge relationship with Tony Stark, even if they'd never met before, because Thanos was responsible for the 2012 attack on New York, which gave Tony PTSD throughout the rest of the MCU. It even spurred him on to create Ultron. And then, of course, Thanos wanting the stones put him in contact with the Scarlet Witch and Vision. You see how Thanos as a character linked all of these characters together, and he was an antagonistic force but in separate ways. We still haven't seen that kind of thing from Doctor Doom. That's kind of a little bit worrying. And when we think about the X-Men and the other rumoured characters, the problem only gets more complicated. Steve Rogers is a character that originated in the MCU from the beginning. We've followed his journey for years, until its ultimate conclusion in Avengers Endgame. But the X-Men have never been part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe until this very moment. Marvel could have elected to introduce their new post-Secret Wars X-Men team here in Doomsday instead, but they've gone for the nostalgia route, which makes them even further removed from Doctor Doom. And a personal threat affecting the X-Men, specifically wanting to eradicate them, simply isn't good enough of a threat. The X-Men are literally born fighting that exact concept. If these X-Men really are the Fox team, then they've already been through The Last Stand, and they've already been involved in Days of Future Past. So existential threats to the X-Men mean absolutely nothing, because it's not unique. But if an old familiar face from the MCU worked once, and nostalgia worked the second time with the X-Men, none of those things are true for Hugh Jackman or Tobey Maguire. And before we understand how this problem gets even worse, you're going to want to subscribe and stick around for more MCU analysis just like this. Especially with D23 just a few hours away, I'm going to be bringing you guys the most thoughtful coverage anywhere on YouTube right here on this channel. Now don't get me wrong, seeing Spider-Man and Wolverine, maybe even the rest of the X-Men butting heads, is going to be incredibly exciting. I think that the Russos are going to give us a little bit of a taste of Secret Wars early, by replicating the Spider-Man vs X-Men fight that we saw in the pages of the 1984 series. But while it's novel to see the return of James Marsden, especially in a comic-accurate costume, that was already used as the selling point of Deadpool and Wolverine only a couple of years ago. And as for Tobey Maguire, pretty much everyone and their nan saw Spider-Man No Way Home. The mere fact that these characters are returning isn't good enough anymore. There needs to be a dramatic justification for their role in the story. Because ultimately for this movie to be good, it needs to be character-driven, not cameo-driven. And the answer lies in something that Marvel also haven't answered. What is Doom's win condition? What do I mean by that? Well, it was obvious going into Infinity War what Thanos' win condition was. He wants to get the stones, snap his fingers, and eliminate half of all life in the universe. Going into Avengers Doomsday, we have no idea what Doctor Doom's win condition actually is. What outcome of Avengers Doomsday means that Doctor Doom wins and the Avengers Avengers lose. And it has to be something more than just generic, because this guy needs to carry 2 event-level movies on his own back. It can't just be, I want to rule the world, or I think I'm better than you. It has to be something specific that affects every single one of these groups. The problem that Marvel has is that that's kind of an impossible ask. How can one individual equally hate and antagonize every single one of those people? So am I saying that Avengers Doomsday is going to be a failure? Well, if we look back to what they've done with Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, the answer reveals itself, hidden under our noses the entire time. The audience doesn't need to buy into Doctor Doom's specific antagonism with every group before the movie comes out. In fact, that might not even need to be in the movie full stop. What the audience needs is to buy into Doctor Doom as an individual. When we think about what makes the best villain, it's not the person who is the perfect threat. The perfect villains are imperfect people. People who are lost, people who are hurting, and as the Invisible Woman said in the Doomsday special look itself, people who are broken. And the proof just came out a couple of weeks ago with Spider-Man Brand New Day. Jean Grey is a hero in the comic books, and she's going to be a hero in the X-Men movie, but she was the villain of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Not because she's just blatantly, irrevocably evil, but because she was hurting, and her pain turned into a destructive force. My argument is that Doctor Doom should be the exact same thing. An individual who is so broken, so traumatized by something specific that's happened, ideally something specific linked to the Fantastic Four, the multiverse, or maybe even Steve Rogers, that it's convinced him he is the only person who is able to take the future of the universe into his 2 hands. But that only explains why we care about Doom. It still doesn't explain how the same character can meaningfully oppose Steve Rogers, the X-Men, Thor, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and everyone else all at the same time. Well, because we need to think bigger than these individual groups. There's a reason this is an Avengers movie, not just a Marvel movie called Doomsday. And no, it's not just a marketing thing. It's because when these heroes are together, they're fighting for something ideological. That thing unites them, even if they come from different places. And the ideology, on a fundamental level, is freedom and hope. That might sound really generic, but think about it, honestly. Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, who fought for freedom and the future of the world during World War II. The X-Men, who are literally freedom fighters by design. They're symbols of hope for the future of their people as they fight in public for their freedom. And the Fantastic Four, who literally have an organisation called the Future Foundation. Those ideologies unify all of these characters, but they're specifically linked to their own experiences. We don't need an antagonistic threat. We need an antagonistic idea. By grounding Doctor Doom in his existing relationships, specifically with Reed Richards and Susan Storm, we can buy into his character as an individual, and we can start to understand his motivations for what he wants to do. It becomes clear how Marvel finally fixed Doctor Doom. Instead of treating him as someone who could kill our heroes, they started treating him as someone with an ideology so frightening that it could destroy the very essence of heroism at its root. And what's all the more terrifying is that by understanding his relationships, we might even start to sympathize with him. And now I want to put it to you guys. What did you think about the new Avengers Doomsday special look? And are you more excited about Doctor Doom's character and what he represents than how you were feeling after the first trailer? And if you want more videos just like this, deep diving into MCU analysis and giving you something you can't find anywhere else on YouTube, you're going to want to subscribe and stick around. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon for D23.